Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Well, I guess what I can do is to just give a quick rundown on what mental health is all about. Um, I've already got some slides, but if you prefer a casual chat, I'm fine with that as well. Just in case some of you like to see points, that kind of thing. If you wish to see, let me know. I can always just share my screen, but I'm flexible in that sense. But anyway, back to this thing called mental health. A lot of people tend to confuse the term mental health and mental illness, to the point that when we say mental health, we actually mean mental illness, and then both not the same thing, because just like we say the term health, we don't mean illness, isn't it? When you get asked, how's your health lately? Oh yeah, good, good, um, you, and we tend to not ask how's your illness lately. But so when we use the word health, let's just think health, all right? And what is health all about? Basically functioning. You're able to function, and functioning means you're able to adapt and to continue adapting, which means you continue to thrive. And someone's feeling like eating pineapple, you're functioning in a way that you can think of a pineapple and you want to eat a pineapple. That's quite okay functioning, because firstly, you're also able to express it. Well done. Good. So cognitively, mentally, things are all right with you. And pineapple is good too, although it may not be too good if you eat too much. It's not good for your teeth, too acidic. Anyway, coming back to this. Sorry, I haven't taken my medication, so I'm just going to ramble on and on, probably. So back to functioning. If you're able to function, to adapt, then you're going to survive. That's the whole idea of health: to function, to adapt, so that you can survive and continue adapting for sustainability. But what about illness? What is illness? It's just the total opposite. All right, you're not able to function, you're not able to adapt, and therefore you are likely to die, quickly. Um, so you put the word mental in front of health and illness, you can more or less guess what it's all about. So mental health is functioning mentally. All right, mental illness is not functioning mentally. Now, what is mental? A lot of people think mental is only to do with emotions. Actually, mental has got everything to do with how we are cognitively, meaning our ability to process information. I just did have pineapple. Well done. I'm allergic though, so you guys enjoy it. Back to this. You see, I'm also demonstrating good enough mental health, which means I'm able to switch from pineapple to back to mental health. Anyone got a pen? An apple? Apple pen. Anyway, back to this. Mental is about information processing. It's about awareness, attention, being able to focus, concentrate, to think, to make decisions, to solve problems. That's the cognitive bit. It's got to do with your emotions, your behavior, and how you communicate. So you need all of those things as Piscines. You need to be able to function that way, especially when it comes to the things that you do. You got to solve problems, which means you got to plan, you got to have critical thinking, very quick thinking. Also, you need to be able to organize, to coordinate between yourselves, especially in this day and age. We've got to coordinate virtually, which is not that easy because you don't see people. All right. You're able to compartmentalize thoughts, ideas, to share them. All right. To be able to organize all these things very quickly, also on a day-to-day basis. Very important for you to function as Piscines. At the same time, having difficulties with all of these would also involve all kinds of difficult emotions as well. So your ability to manage your emotions in a way that help you to function in an overall, I guess, situation is good mental health, or rather good enough mental health, because you are functioning. We all go through all kinds of difficulties on a day-to-day basis. We have ups and downs, but generally we are okay. We function. We survive that day. We move to the next day. All right. Now, in saying that, I hope you understand that when it comes to good mental health, it's basically about good enough functioning. I say good enough because you don't want to be happy all the time. I mean, it would be nice, isn't it? Just smiling and all, but that's not reality. As long as we're able to function, we're able to more or less fix most of the problems we have in a day, that's good enough because you can still survive. All right. Now, what about mental illness? Mental illness is when you have difficulties with your mental processing. All right. You have difficulties even thinking. solving problems, difficulties coordinating, organizing, planning. You know, your time management sucks after a while, and it lasts for a pretty long time to the point you get super distressed that you're not able to function for other things. That's a symptom of having a mental health problem. I'm just saying that this is a symptom because it happens to us every now and then. But if these symptoms persist, all right, they last longer than usual. Usually we look at 2 weeks or more, and it's giving you lots of distress and distress in other people as well. That's where you really need to go get help, because you know most of the time our symptoms don't last more than a day and not more than 2 weeks, especially when you are grieving, for example. It's okay to grieve. It's part of our emotions. It's very normal, and that's okay. But if you find that however you are, mentally, emotionally, behaviorally, and even socially, all right, uh, whichever components or combination of components don't really work for you, and it causes you to be distressed, dysfunctional, all right, and it would distress others as well for at least 2 weeks to a month consistently, you need help. And if you don't, it may become an illness. So that's where we're talking about mental illness. But in terms of day-to-day kind of stress, and as Piscines, surely you go through tons of stress because you only got like 4 weeks, right? Is that right?
Yeah,
4
4
weeks
weeks
of
only.
really brutal kind of stuff. You're given a problem, you're going to solve it until you get to solve it. You know, you will fail every now and then. It's boot camp. I was just talking to Jeff and Tila earlier, and imagine having a drill sergeant drilling you. Come on, go, move it, move it, move it. Or maybe even Schwarzenegger coming in. Come on, get to the chopper. You're gonna die. Anyway, again, sorry, I haven't taken my medication, so I'm kind of like that.
You may have found another career if this doesn't work out for you, you know.
Yeah. In case I piss off
Dr. Leong, I mean Dr. Alvin comedy.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, that keeps me going. Comedy. Anyway, back to this. So that's basically mental health, mental illness. What do we do about it? There are biological factors to our health, mental and physical, obviously. There's psychosocial factors. So people tend to ask me, Alvina, why my mental like that? Is it because I think too much? Partly yes. All right. Could be the way you think, the way you have been brought up to think, the kind of thinking you learn from other people, and those are just thoughts. There is your development, your developmental history, your surrounding, your family, your biology, the things you eat. All right. How much sleep you have had. Put it this way: if you woke up like super early this morning because your team gets you to wake up early so that you can have a discussion, you don't have enough sleep, do you function well? Not likely. You're likely to also be very grumpy, isn't it? For me, if I don't get enough sleep, I'm a very grumpy person. And if you're a very grumpy person, what happens to your teammates? They may not like you too much. All right. Emotionally, they're affected already. So there you go. Not having enough sleep, that can be a strong contributing factor to your mental health. And of course, food. If you haven't had your lunch by now and you're really stressed up, stress makes your stomach pump more acid. You're going to have quite a lot of discomfort now. And when you start eating later on, when you eat like pineapple, which means more acid, not so good for you. And yeah, all kinds of funny things go on in your body when physically you're not well. It affects your mental bits too. All right, and behaviorally, if you keep on walking, like that, showing your bald spot if you're balding like me. Oh no, I'm not balding. Sorry, I need to be positive. I'm growing more skin. Yes, it's positive
That's
psychology.
something that Tila can also pick up from. He's been suffering from that recently. Yeah.
No, you don't have to suffer from it.
Become a lot worse over the last 9 days.
Yeah, you can enjoy it, Tila. You could reframe the whole idea.
I'm gonna try and enjoy it and say that I'm gonna get a new look in a few months.
There you go. Yeah. You can call it enlightenment. Getting lighter. Ta-da! Enlightenment. Yeah, and that's what we can do to reframe a certain situation into something else, to give you a different meaning, so that you are better able to function. That's the trick to managing your mental health. Make sure physically you are healthy. Of course, the balanced diet, regular exercise, all right, rest, relaxation, learn how to relax. Relaxation is very, very important. Just take 2 to 5 minutes a day and just chill, be silent, and do whatever you like that you can enjoy. All right, to just let go and relax. Yeah, and it's something that we need to put into our daily routine. Very important. Yeah, no matter how much you think I can do it, come on, let's do it. Just take a break. Yeah.
And I think in a way, right, that's pretty much how we should approach this mindset when we join in the boot camp, like a Piscine itself, like the 42 Piscine, right? Because when I explain to family and friends or partners who want to know about the Piscine, in a nutshell, I always tell them it is a military style boot camp for coding and programming, because it requires 10 hours per day, every single day, 28 days, 26 days, non-stop kind of thing, right? So then they realize, oh, wow, okay, like immediately you see that switch. But for, we as vocals or staff, we are experiencing that as well. But I think it's more challenging for students. So, now that they're kind of midway through, what should be like their approach, knowing that they would have probably failed numerous tests already. Some of them probably are still trying to do the same test that was provided on day one, and realizing that some of my peers are already ahead of me, and then they feel that peer pressure because it's all about peer learning. So how would you deal with things like that?
All right. Great question there. It's never easy. All right. Whatever I'm going to answer you right now, please have this huge disclaimer behind, make it a poster or something. It's always easier said than done. The trick is to keep on practicing and to find out what works for you. So when you come into a boot camp like this, first thing you're going to be doing is to be very aware of yourself in relation to others, because we are all somehow brought up in a competition. We want to compete. We want to be better, because that helps us feel good about ourselves. All right. So that's where you need to understand. If you are not good, then what happens? It's something that would affect all of us, myself included. We are all affected by that, because it has got a lot to do with our sense of belonging. So you come into a boot camp, you come into 42 KL, all right? You're given a problem to solve, and you got to solve it as quickly as possible before you move on to the next one. And you find that some people are able to solve quicker than you are, and they move on, and you keep on failing, all right? And it's very, very natural to compare. But we know from experience as well as research that when you start comparing, if you're better than others, good. All right. If you're not, oh boy, not so good. So firstly, you need to be able to address that feelings that you get, the feelings that you get when you don't feel good as you compare with others. All right. And try to look at a bigger picture on where you're at, what you're doing right now. The whole idea of 42. I'm kind of jealous of all of you actually, because I would like to have joined as a Piscine myself, go through that experience. And like what Jeff was saying earlier, we too go through it. In fact, we go through it on a daily basis. I go through this kind of stuff on a daily basis. Every day I get problems. Every day I must solve problems, and I get new problems the next day. So you're not going to be able to use the same solutions for the new problems. And in this day and age with the COVID thing going on, we need to find new solutions very quickly. And this is why we're training you the way we are training you. I say we because I may not be part of 42, but that's life. All right, we're all part of life. And you are starting out young, how old are you guys?
Oh, you'll be surprised. So we've got, I think 18 is the youngest.
Awesome. Good.
And then the oldest is, I think 49. So yeah, we've got a
Great.
wide
Yeah.
group.
So you've got a huge variety of people, right? When we say students, we normally think, after school. In fact, if this can be open to like even primary school, be fantastic, because why not start younger, isn't it? But coming back to this idea of, solving problems in order to move forward, this is where it starts to affect our preconception that when you go into a school, you got grades. So you may have certain kinds of measurements that gives you feedback as to how well you're doing. And this is what we normally call grades. So we are somehow tuned into thinking if you get a 0, you suck. All right. And many of us put a full stop after I suck, just that. But we forget that, we are constantly moving. So if you put a full stop there, that's it, you stop and you end up just being a failure. And that's what it is. A failure means you have a failure to move on. But if you are able to reframe that moment to, okay, I didn't get to do it now, maybe I can do it again later. Because instead of putting a full stop, one of the questions that you need to ask yourself is, what next? So what, and then what next? A boot camp kind of therapy is what I call so what and then therapy. Try this with yourself. Try shouting at each other, do the drill sergeant kind of thing. You feel, so what? So I lousy lah. So I cannot do anything lah. Really? You start challenging yourself to find whether there are really any evidence or not to you being actually stupid. Hey, you got into 42 in the first place. That's something. You got a good start already. Keep on trying. And that's just how life is, really. And putting you into a boot camp this way helps you to think on your feet quickly without needing to feel like a failure. We each got our own strength, and we can learn new skills. So sometimes our learning is slower than later. For example, you put me in a Chinese school, I don't learn very well because I don't speak Chinese. I try learning to speak Chinese, but somehow I'm just not good at it. I go to Spain and automatically I can speak Spanish. Somehow, I don't know, maybe past life I'm Spanish or something. I can order food and stuff like that because somehow I got this affinity towards Spanish language, maybe. All right. But so there are pros and cons. And it's great to have like a huge age range in your groups because you can then tap into each other's strengths and maybe even weaknesses and learn from each other's weaknesses. So, please take this as an opportunity to learn from each other. Maybe you won't laugh at each other, that's fine, all right? You can laugh at my inability to speak Chinese. So whenever anybody speaks Chinese to me in this kind of phase, fake news, I have to speak Chinese in an Indian accent. At least they get that I'm not lying to them. If I have to say, 对不起,我不会讲华语, you get like, 你骗我. I mean, I know those few words lah. And I need to go into like 对不起,我不会讲华语. For those of you Chinese, you understand what I'm saying. Well, there you go. So yeah, again, I'm rambling quite a bit. I don't know whether that answers your question.
Yeah, so we've got a few questions. So one of them was asking, like, discomfort, things like headaches and stuff like that, right? When they feel, when we try something mentally challenging at stretch, can it be addressed by just simple, like, mental exercises or like sleep or food, like?
Yeah, experiment. Do something and see if it works. I can always prescribe you with something, but again, there's no such thing as a best method or best therapy. There are three main factors that go into whether something works or not. If we go into therapy, for example, there's the client factor, the therapist factor, and the method factor. If you come from a different perspective from your therapist, things are not going to work. So when it comes to, okay, if you feel discomfort, if you feel tired, take a break. You may not even want to do any kind of exercises because you're already mentally exercising your mind. You have to do even more exercises. That's kind of crazy because you'll just tire yourself out. So take yourself aside to one corner or not corner, wherever you're gonna go to, chill, relax, just be silent. Go for a massage or something if SOPs are okay. You just massage yourself, that kind of thing. Pretend that you're relaxing. Relax, let go. If you can't let go to the toilet. There's something to let go there.
Yeah, we've got another question. How do you resume to work when maybe you took too much of a break? Because then it feels like you're in a state of not, feeling of not doing anything and just couldn't like get out of the slump.
Yeah, yeah, that happens to the best of us, isn't it? You take too long a break and then you start dragging your feet. That's where it's also good to think about, your attitude towards work. I used to say to use the term work dragfititis. You drag your feet to work. I used to have that, and I realized at the time that I was burnt out. Burnout is a real thing. I was a head of department for 3 years. It's no joke. I would not wish any one of you to be head of department. It's a curse. Thankfully, I'm no longer HOD now. But when I was HOD, I got burnt out really quickly. And I didn't know until I did a burnout scale. I'm a clinical psychologist. I should know what burnout is, isn't it? But I got burnt out. I'm just a human being. And when you start feeling numb, you just don't feel like getting to work. You drag your feet. It could be something going on there, and sometimes it may just be because you're relaxed. You're just too relaxed. It's difficult to start, and this is where having teammates is good because they are likely to push and nudge you. Right? To move. And that happens to me on a daily basis too. I wake up, I look at my phone, I get all kinds of nudges. Then I start going, oh no, what shall I do now? Whoop, breakfast first, because you need the energy. So yeah, if you need that support, then you let your team know to nudge you, and nudge each other.
Yeah, I think that's also answering one of the questions saying here, what's the best way to beat procrastination?
Procrastination is a huge thing. The best way to beat it is just to do it. If you can get Nike to sponsor you, that would be great. Come on, just do it. Just do it, really. Even if you don't have the mood to do it, just do it. If you can't really do it, tell somebody else, they do it, get you to do it as well. Like I would like to exercise on a daily basis, which I do. And sometimes I don't feel like I want to do anything. I just do it. Even if it's just like doing 50 squats, done.
50 squats is like,
Yeah,
I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, wow, okay.
without weights.
What?
One,
Okay.
two,
Without weights,
yeah, that
maybe
kind of
lah, I can.
squats. Yeah, just to get the blood pumping, and that's enough. And before you know it, you go into your 25th squat, you feel like doing push-ups. Like, okay, then push-ups. Yeah, just do it. One of the best ways to address procrastination is doing things. Stop, just do it. Again, easier said than done, but give it a try.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, one of the things I remember watching before was a sergeant in the US who mentioned about the boot camp style, and he was saying about the one thing that you can always do every single day is just do your bed. You will at least then accomplish one thing, and then you actually feel better. And since then, that video, I think I watched it like 7 years ago, 8 years ago. Every time I realized, like, that's the number one thing I do. Even though I feel so just like tired, if I'm sick and all right, I'll get up, go to shower, do the bed, and then I'll just like, oh yeah, I done it, and then I'll go back to sleep again if I'm not feeling well, right? But at least I feel like at the end of the day, I still did one thing,
Yeah.
I did my bed. So,
exactly. The sense of achievement is a very important thing. Keep on doing things, keep on doing it, keep on doing stuff that gives you that sense of achievement. So even if you fail, at least you've done something, and that's okay. You keep on trying, keep on doing it, because we will fail. That's the thing about anything. We will fail. I fail on a daily basis, but the thing is, if you're able to get certain things done, at least you've done some things. Something even as simple as making a bed. My dad would be proud of you. He was in the army, so I grew up being in an army camp. Guess what? I don't make my bed. I do something else instead.
We've got another question. Any tips on how to get through imposter syndrome?
Imposter syndrome. High five. I have that. Yeah, so when people call me Professor Ng, I say, no, don't call me that. Just call me Alvin. I feel like an imposter. Yeah, how do we get by imposter syndrome? Again, it's something that it's partially due to our comparison with others. One of the things that you can do is to look into what you're able to do. Look into developing self-efficacy rather than putting yourself in a certain role. Because when you try to put yourself in a certain role and you don't feel confident enough to be in that role, you are likely to get imposter syndrome because it's all about roles. But if you look into your ability to do certain things, all right, skills, and just do them, Before you know it, you're doing things. And that's what matters. Try to keep yourself, yeah, although roles are important, you need to know your role in a team, but sometimes we get mixed up with the position. When I was made head of department, I had huge imposter syndrome because I didn't think of myself as a head. I never wanted to be the head because I was a head before. I didn't like it. I didn't want to be a head anymore. So when I was given the headship, guess what? I had a panic attack, literally a panic attack, which I thought was a heart attack. I ran to the hospital. So as you can see here, Sunway, you know, it's quite a short distance from the uni to the hospital. I made it. I went to emergency, and the people at A and E laughed at me because I was having a panic attack, and they laughed at me even louder when I told them I was a psychologist. So, yeah, imposter
Everyone
syndrome.
has it.
Everyone has it. So back to the tip, it's focusing on what you're able to do and do it. Again, just do it. If you don't know how to do it, ask for help, try again, and keep on asking for help and keep on trying. If you cannot do it, maybe it would be good to get somebody else to do it and you play a different role. And that's what a team is for. Sometimes we think that we have to do it all ourselves. That happens to me a lot. I am now the chair of a conference that's going to be in July. I was made a chair and I had imposter syndrome straight away. But I'm lucky that my team kept on telling me, we have your back. You know, anything you need us to do, we'll do it. See, it happens to me like right now. But what's really good and what's important is you are aware you're having imposter syndrome so that you do something about it or talk to someone about it. Hope that helps. Okay, wow, lots of messages. I see pineapples on pizza. Yep, some people don't like that, so don't start an argument. Yes, comparison is a thief of joy, exactly. But sometimes if you just not compare, then you know there's no push also. So it depends on how you want to use comparison. Comparison is natural, you're right. It measures your self-worth, but if your self-worth is only measured by comparison, then you need to think further about what your self-worth is about.
We've got one question: is lack of motivation a sign of burnout? And how do you get out of burnout? Apologies earlier on, I had a phone call because a guy was supposed to deliver a printer anytime soon and he got lost trying to find the campus. So yeah.
The age of Shopee and Lazada, isn't it? Every now
Actually,
and then you get a call.
it's not even that. It's like it's like our office printer that's supposed to arrive. It's one of those big ones.
All right. Well, feeling demotivated. Is it a sign of burnout? Yes, it could be burnout. But burnout is not just about being demotivated. So rather than diagnosing yourself as having burnout straight away, look into why you're not motivated. Is something else going on? Look at the bigger picture. Talk to someone about what's making you feeling demotivated. Sometimes it's based on comparison. You compare to other people who are very successful and you think of yourself as pretty much useless and you can't do anything, so you're demotivated. You know, what's the point of trying in the first place? I can keep on failing. It's good to challenge yourself. Often we use the terms that are very extreme, such as always or never. I'm always a failure. I'm always failing. Always, always, always. How does it make you feel when you say always? It's very heavy, isn't it? Never also is a very strong and extreme word. That makes you an extremist. Please don't be an extremist. So as soon as you catch yourself using the words always, never, cannot, challenge yourself. Do the Malaysian thing by asking, yeah, meh, right? Or really? And the more you challenge yourself, hopefully it also opens your eyes to possibilities that you are keeping yourself from reaching. And hopefully when you see that you are able to do certain things and maybe solve problems, that may give you the motivation. And to me, motivation has got a lot to do with purpose. Purpose also comes from a sense of belonging. Sense of belonging comes from a sense of being relevant. And being relevant would also mean that you have a sense of self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is about knowing you can do something. And if the things that you're able to do is relevant to other people, then there's that automatic sense of belonging to this bunch of people. For example, all of you here at 42. If you're able to do something to solve a problem that other people would like to be solved, ta-da, there's some kind of belonging there that is likely to give you the sense of purpose in continuing what you want to do. So that sense of purpose is something that pushes you to do what you're doing, and that's where motivation comes from. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's in a way, in a nutshell, it's good to, because we're kind of like midway through. If they, if you are experiencing one of those kind of moments, I think it's always good to look back. Like 10 days ago, what did you know? And now you look at how much you've learned in the last 10 days.
Exactly.
And then look at like, hey, actually, I like what you mentioned, right? Being part of the Piscine is already something to be proud of, because you actually had to do an online test, and not everyone passes. And for those who fail, they can only redo it after 300 days. So, most of them here, it's a one shot, right? And then boom, they got this. So that itself, you should be proud, right? So it's something that,
Yeah, and put it this way, even if you can only do it again in 300 days, you have got 300 days worth of reconnecting, networking, and finding out all kinds of resources to get yourself better, so that in 300 days, when you try it, you'll be better than everybody else, that kind of thing. Because you had that 300 days time to cheat in a way, sorry?
Yeah, so we've got one question here, which I think you mentioned earlier a little bit, which is about, mental health is not something you notice. And you're saying that most of the time, people misunderstand their mental health efficacies for just being lazy or procrastination, when there could be actually an underlying issue. So how do you tackle this? Or like, how does actually one seek for help? Because that is also a bit of a taboo.
Yeah. Where do you go to for help, isn't it? And how do you do it? Well, there are people called counselors you can seek help from, and they're just all around us. Just across the road from Future X, there's Geo Avenue. There are two counseling centers there already. One is called Bay Counseling, and one is called Relationary. Yeah, I can go across, and there are lots all over. They're online also. So reach out for help. If you don't want to see a counselor yet, reach out to a trusted friend, speak to someone about it, and see what you get. But what I'm suggesting is that you see a counselor because they are professionally trained to help you with being stuck. You don't need to have a mental health problem to see a counselor. In fact, don't wait until you have a mental health problem, because it takes a much longer time and it's more expensive to deal with a mental health problem. All right. So if you feel that you are facing certain internal conflicts or even relational problems with other people, you've got difficulties thinking, got difficulties, moving forward, not knowing what you want to do in life, see a counselor. Really, take that step to contact a counselor and see how they can help you figure things out. And again, you don't have to be mentally ill to see a counselor. In fact, counselors are trained to help people, figure out their potentials, to reach their potentials. That's what they're trained to do. Some people have asked me, what about life coaches? Yeah, you can find them too. Life coaches are trained to help you reach your greatest potentials. But make sure that these coaches use evidence-based methods. There are all kinds of funny coaches out there. Be careful. They're very expensive, and you don't want to be wasting money on stuff that are not evidence-based. So yes, please reach out for help. If you want a model, use me as a model. I reach out for help. In fact, I use employee assistance program. It's something that Sunway Uni has. In fact, whole Sunway group has got employee assistance program, which is an outsourced mental health program. If you're stressed out, you call this number and somebody will help you. For Sunway University, we have got Sunway Medical Center that we can go to for help. And I see the psychologist there to manage myself. So there you go. I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm a mental health professional, and yet I seek help. Why? Because I know that the people I seek help from are professionally trained. They're skilled in knowing what to do to help. So there's no shame in asking for help.
don't fall for those YouTubers, life gurus and all that lah. You know,
Yeah. But the
that,
thing
that
is,
one,
I mean, to be fair, some of them are well trained. Just that don't go for fancy, go for quality, go for qualifications.
Mm.
Mm.
We've got one question. So this one, it kind of relates to, sometimes I do feel this as well. How do you take quality break from work? For instance, I know sometimes you need to take a break from something in order to function well, to do the task. But then once you start to take a break, you then somehow feel guilty for actually relaxing.
Yep.
And then you feel like you will actually need to continue to work. And because you kept thinking of your work while you're having a break, you're not actually having a break.
Yep.
Because of the constant thoughts about thinking of work, which is a vicious cycle, right? So
that is so common. Happens to me too. Like on a daily basis. You can ask my wife. We are chilling and I'm like, and she can tell that I'm thinking about work.
Same.
Yeah. So here's the thing. When you are working, you are kind of like, holding a cocktail a jar and you're shaking, right? And if you want to calm down and truly relax, you got to put the jar down and let things settle. But most of the time, we don't have the patience to wait until something settles. So we pick up the jar again. Is it settled yet? And before it, it's like murky water and you're trying to let the sediment settle and you keep on disturbing it. So what you're doing is you're trying to take quality break. But every now and then, when you feel guilty, you want to look at work again, this is what we can say as, the sediments slowly sinking in. It probably means you haven't had a long enough break. So this is what I do on a weekend. Saturday morning, I'm thinking about work. Lunchtime, I'm chewing and thinking about work, but I don't do any work. Eventually, you settle. Okay, give it a try, because in certain situations, it takes you longer to settle. In some situations, it's very quick. So what's important is you take breaks and get used to taking breaks, because the reason why it's difficult for you to feel that you have a quality break is because you're so familiar with work. You're not familiar with breaks and relaxation. So the trick is to give yourself opportunities to get more familiar with relaxation and breaks. So what can you do, you think, to do that? What got you familiar to work in the first place? Work. So try putting in relaxation times and you practice that relaxation. You will fail. I tell you, you will fail horribly, miserably, but keep on doing it. It's just like meditation. A lot of people say, oh, no, meditation is not for me. Ayo, cannot, like, been thinking and thinking, I cannot empty my mind. Of course, you cannot empty your mind. And meditation is not about emptying your mind. It's about sitting still. The instructions are actually very simple. Sit down, shut up, and see what happens. That's meditation. All right. It's not about empty your mind. You gotta think about this, think about that, and not be thinking. Yeah, how can I be thinking about not thinking? It's crazy stuff. But the whole idea is for you to settle. When you sit quietly and don't do anything, what you'll notice is your mind is going to be running like crazy because you're not used to being still. So the more still you are, the more your mind would settle. And of course, you cannot be meditating until your mind settles. You probably die by then. But what's important is you're sitting still and you're getting more familiar with stillness, to the point that the more stillness you practice, the easier it gets for you to be still. Does it make sense? It's about practice. You think about the amount of practice we have been doing on work. Of course, it's difficult for us to slow down because we don't give ourselves a chance to even slow down. So give that a try.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Now, another question here. Someone says that I tend to binge eat when I feel mentally stressed. Is there a better way to deal with this stress eating disorder?
I binge eat too. I used to binge it much more than now. What I do now is I binge exercise.
Wow.
I still eat. You know, MCO has been good for me because there you go, Tila's eating. Is that pineapple, Tila? Pineapple tarts? Okay.
It's
Mummy monster.
it's Mummy Monster chips, which has been there for I don't know how long.
Right, I'm gonna try that. But anyway, what can we do about binge eating? Yeah, I used to binge eat because food gives me comfort. And most of the time, comfort foods are the ones that are super unhealthy, isn't it? I love it. Try binging on other stuff that is seemingly more healthy. Give it a try. I do exercise because I feel good after exercise. A lot of people ask me, do you diet? I said, no, I still eat the stuff I eat. I still eat all kinds of junk. I still drink alcohol. Many friends of mine tell me I should lay off alcohol, and now Tila's drinking. Is it alcohol?
No alcohol
Heaven and earth,
before
yeah,
five.
okay. That's full of sugar, man. Gotta cut sugar. Yeah, I mean, the whole idea is, yes, if you binge it, it's good that you're aware of it and try to replace it with something else and keep on trying things that works for you. For me, exercise works. The only trouble with exercise is after that you get hungry and you eat more. But it's good to keep on moving. If you've got difficulties handling your binge eating, that's where again you see a professional. Usually for any kind of behavioral kind of change to make, you see a psychologist. The difference between a psychologist and a counselor is more emotional. They're nice and fluffy people who would listen to you very nicely. Whereas a psychologist like myself, we tend to be more of the drill sergeant. We, move it. We do the kind of stuff. We change your behavior. When you get emotional, we send you to the counselor. We'll go, oh, really? Oh, I see. And if you need medication, we send you to the psychiatrist. Because psychiatrists give pills, I give skills, because pills don't teach you skills, yes, Alvin trying to rap. It might start raining later on, sorry. Yeah. But yeah, break the cycle. If you don't like it, do something about it. Try whatever ways. If you have difficulties, you get stuck, ask for help. And ask for help from a professional.
Another question here, and I think I have caught myself saying something similar to this. Which does it ever exist? Does this thing exist when somebody said my hobby is working? Like, when someone asks me, it's like, oh man, like you work, long hours and stuff. And it's like, oh, I actually don't consider my work.
Yeah. A lot of people think that, especially when they're married to their work. I used to think I was married to their work, and then I actually got married. So.
Wait, more headache or never mind.
Sorry?
More headache than work marriage?
No, I'm glad I got married to my wife. She's amazing. She watching this? Anyway, yes, to some people, their work is their life, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I know a lot of people who live, breathe, sleep their work, and they are very happy. They're very contented people. There's like no boundary whatsoever. They are work, rest, and everything all in one, and that's okay. It's up to you how you want to view things. Some people prefer boundaries, and some people tell me that retirement is for wimps. That's okay. I mean, people want to retire. Some people just want to continue working. I'm probably the kind of person who says retirements for wimps. Although every now and then I feel I want to retire. So yeah, it depends. Whatever floats your boat.
Another question: as a clinical psychologist, where is the line between I'm not okay, but I can handle or manage or deal with it still, versus I'm not okay and I need help?
Well, there's no line actually. It's always I'm okay and I always need help. We all need help all the time, and you don't have to be not okay to need help. Just get help anyway. That's what we are trained as in clinical. That's what we're trained to do in clinical psychology. Anything that you need help for, just ask for help. That's what friends are for. That's what family is for. And we know from research, this is research, evidence-based research that has been found in a longitudinal research from Harvard, don't play. We know that, you know how people say health is wealth? Health is the true wealth. Actually, that's not quite accurate. The true wealth is actually meaningful socialization. You can be as healthy as you want. Eventually, you're going to become unhealthy and die. But what's more constant is your sense of belonging. And that's where socialization comes in. So, how did I get there?
It was
Um,
the now so we've got maybe just a few minutes left for a couple of questions, but this one really good question here, because I think this one is more of the millennials trying to follow with the rise of like TikTok and all these kind of celebrities that are getting a lot of attention. So Gary V, I don't know if you've heard of him before. He has this. So, Gary Vaynerchuk, which is this outgoing motivational speaker who does a lot of like videos about, the things like you mentioned, like, just do it, get out there, the hustle culture, just hustle and hustle. Or millennials, they think they want, they just want it easy, but you just got to put in the work and blah, 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 and all that stuff, right? So it's all about this, the drill sergeant, right, that you say, right? So what's your opinion on like that type of, hustle culture that we seem to face, because there's TikTok lah and Instagram lah, YouTube lah, everyone's like you see any of their videos, they're all saying the same thing, right?
Yeah. It's great to get a kind of motivation. It gets you going, but you need to be aware that eventually you're going to get fatigued. You're gonna get tired. It's part of our nature. We will get tired. You'll hustle, yes, it's fine. It's good to hustle, but be aware of fatigue. And when you are tired, you need to rest. A lot of people you see in videos, they seem as though they work hard, they're full of energy, but what you don't see are videos of them being tired. So we need to be aware that whatever you see on video has been edited. You don't see the what do you call that, the back room. You don't see the, what do you call that, behind the scenes. Robin Williams, when do we see him? When he's performing, but we don't see him when he's in rehab. So yes, Gary V may be very motivational. That's good. Keep up the motivation. Just recognize that we are human beings. We can burn out, and we are all at risk of burnout from overworking. So don't let videos like that tell you that you're not doing enough. You do whatever you can do. You feel tired, rest. Sometimes you may overwork. If you are aware of it, stop and rest. Try again next time, because you will fail, and that's fine. You will fail again and again and again. Just keep on trying. And it's not about grades, because life has got no grades, isn't it? You either get things done or you don't. If you don't get things done, try again.
I think that's a great way for us to end, because that's pretty much what 42 is. It's all about just get it done and then continue, move on and progress further, right? Tila has, I think, mentioned to many of our PCners about if you've passed, then just move on. Later on, when you have time, you can come back to the projects and then see how you can improve your scores even further. As long as you've passed, then go on, move on, because that's the whole Piscine, is to get you used to the mindset of just going forward as far as you can. Like it's Piscine means French, swimming pool in French. So can you swim for 4 weeks, or will you drown? So if you're just hovering at the same space and you're paddling your legs and you're still stuck at that same area, you're going to drown. So you have to find a way to continue move forwards, right?
Yeah, and put it this way also, I'm just going to be a bit of a, mood killer, or what do you call that? Killjoy in a way. You may fail now, and then you take the 300 days to learn the skill to solve the problems that you couldn't solve, and you come back and then you realize that the solution to the problem doesn't solve the new problem. So
Yeah,
you're gonna drown again. But that's how it is. We just have to keep on trying. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. we just have to keep on trying. We just have to keep on getting up, and that's what we have to do to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got one more question.
Can we ask questions? Or like, can we open up the floor, or it's
Go
only
ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm still free.
Okay. So I just wanted to ask, like, we all, like, the burnout has become a very common term these days, right? Like, so during parent generations or something like earlier generations, they never used to talk about all this burnout and all that. They used to stick their head, like, to their work and do daily things and feed, like, take care of the families and all that. Nowadays, it's like every now and then, like, you do certain things, you are burnout. So what is actually a burnout? When do you call it a burnout? And then, like, when do you need to, like, take a step back? And we don't see our parents, like, they never stop doing what they were doing. Like, why are we, like, become so fickle-minded, not fickle-minded, so, like, weak mentally?
Good one. Umesh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good question. A lot of people tend to ask that. First thing I would say is stop comparing. Your parents may compare.
Yep.
And you, if you become a parent, or if you're already a parent, you probably compare also. It's the typical phrase, back in my days, and you start rolling your eyes. Yeah, okay, boomer. You can't compare, really. Whatever you are going through now is what you are going through. What your parents or grandparents went through was different. We are in a very different world now. And a lot of my Gen X, I'm Gen X, colleagues who are out there keep on complaining about how millennial, they're like so soft, strawberry generation, you touch them a bit and they bruise. I think that's very unfair. It's really unfair because you grew up in a very different world, very different experience. So if you feel burnt out, you feel tired, and the symptoms of burnout, I mentioned some already. Of course, just fatigue, you're tired. You feel apathetic, you feel numb. You may even feel cynical about your work and what you're doing. You feel demotivated. You may even get sick very often, all right? And you don't want to go to work or do anything. You just feel depressed. Those are all very real feelings. If you feel them, you are likely to be a burnout. You're going to do something about it. So if you feel that way, you feel that way. No one can tell you to feel otherwise. And if you feel that way, you don't like it, you want to do something about it, reach out, ask for help, get help.
No, but my point is, like, isn't it like, we are all influenced by the marketing that goes around, like, the things which we keep hearing every now and then. So it may not be the burnout. It's just that, like, we feel, oh, I'm burnt out already. Like, I'm tired. I worked for 10 hours. Oh, I'm gone. Like, there were days I used to work for 15, 16 hours continuously for a month, but I never felt anything about it. But when you talk to other people, you will feel burnt out.
Right.
I mean, it's not you, but it's the influence of others.
Yeah,
right?
You got a good point there, and that's correct, because sometimes it depends on our script. We have a lot of scripts in us that tells us what burnout is, what burnout is not. That's where people will deny that you're going through burnout. But again, you can't compare because no one knows what you are feeling. You don't know what others are feeling. You can only guess. And your script and other people's script may be different. I had a student once who had a very weird script, but to him it was real. He came to me crying, and I asked him why. What happened? He said, "I broke up with my girlfriend." Or my girlfriend broke up with me. Was crying and all. I said, "Okay, tell me about it. How long have you known this girl?" "I know her for some time." I said, "When do you start dating?" "Huh?" They haven't started dating, but to him, a breakup was him asking her to be his girlfriend, and she said no. So his script was, when you go through a breakup, you must be very depressed. And he became depressed. And when I told him, no, that wasn't a breakup. Actually, that's what we call a rejection. What do you think about that now? He was like, oh, if that's the case, then not so bad then. See, scripts.
We have worse scenarios. Somebody is single and no relationship. So it's like, that's bad.
If that's bad in your script, then
no, I'm just joking.
I'm single.
But it's also a serious thing because some people do think that way. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know whether I've answered your question, but it does depend on your script.
You did. Actually, it's all about the script, like, whether we get influenced by others or not. It's the script that we run in our, like, own heads, like, like the way we run in guacamole. So that's what matters, right, at the end of the day.
Yes.
Thanks, Umesh. Yeah, so if we've got a lot more, I think like a lot of conversations is happening on the chat, which is good because normally they've been so busy just coding and programming. So at least now they're taking some time off out of work and not talking about the Piscine projects and just talking about random stuff. They're arguing whether pineapple should be on pizza and stuff. We had this argument yesterday. It seems to carry forward today. Someone here has decided to change his virtual background that's pineapples on pizzas to make a statement. So
it's a global thing.
It's a global thing.
It's a global thing. People have been arguing about pineapples and pizzas.
Salad bowl pizza is what I call it.
What's your take though? Pineapples on pizza? Yes or no? Just to
For me?
Yeah, for you.
I like pineapples on pizzas.
There we go. All right, we've got one more. Whoever's keeping track of that, we got one more.
Hey, I got no issues with Hawaiian pizza. It's just that I think pizzas in general should just be pepperoni and cheese.
Okay. Right. Well, I don't know. To me, I'm good with pineapple. Yeah.
All right, Alvin, it's been really amazing. Really good session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm sure if we have any kind of queries or questions, I'll always email you. For all of you here who are watching this, if you want any if you want any answers, or you just want to reach out to Alvin yourself, get in touch with us, let us know, and we can help to facilitate that. If you want to just have some discussions and stuff, we can always
sure.
talk, right? So
call me.